Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. This is Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. Today, I am recapping the season premiere of season 4, part 1 of Ozark that is on Netflix. And it looks like the first half of the final season of Netflix's show is going to be a lot of twists and turns, but it looks like it is set up for a huge downfall. It looks like there's going to be a downfall setup of the Byrde family because it seems as though, because at first I didn't realize at first that it was actually foreshadowing and it was like a flash forward type of scene because the way they shot the beginning scene and then transitioned into where we left off of season 3, it was like, no, you couldn't tell the difference. I thought we were starting right off the bat with this, and it kind of looked confusing at first because I thought it was like a continuation, and then I remembered the end of season 3. So essentially, it starts off with the Byrde family riding in a vehicle, singing tunes, discussing different things about the business. And then next thing you know, they like swerve to avoid like an oncoming truck. And then the car just keeps flipping and flipping and flipping. So that is foreshadowing. So I am curious to see who we are going to see that survives that or who doesn't survive. If this is going to be a part of the season finale of part 1. So there's a lot of questions, but essentially it's going to set the tone for what we're going to see the rest of the season. Also, we pick up with, the Byrde family. So we are now, starting with Wendy and Marty. They are wiping off, Helen's brains. That's kind of where we then transition the episode to. So they're like washing all of Helen's brains off of them, off of their clothes, off of their body. And then they are given outfits so that they can join the party that was happening at the Navarro compound. Because they're one and the same right now. Like we've seen in the past that they've been obviously on the opposite sides of things at different, points and things of that nature. But as of right now, they have to be on one accord. That, Omar is telling him that the competition's been raided. And also, we meet somebody new named Javi. And he looks like he is going to be a mess. He is going to be somebody who is not going to take any crap. And, also Helen had told them, about Darlene and how she's trying to rebuild her empire. And Marty now has to make her stop. Like, essentially were the orders that were given to him. And so, Omar is basically trying to, say that, my nephew, he's just not patient and this and that. But he is potentially going to be an issue. I already know. Because they always say that, quote, that the greatest threat's going to be from the inside. Then also, I think also he could see that his nephew is starting to see that it's a little shaky at the top. And so now Omar wants Marty's help to have the FBI basically, be able to move freely between the U.S. and Mexico. And essentially the Byrdes would be laundering him is basically. And so, then Ruth, she comes back to the Lazy O and, where she used to work as a maid. And she was fired because she used to rip off the guests. And so now she wants to purchase it for $450K and has the bank loan and the paperwork and everything else. And so then it was asked, does she really want to own this piece of town? And so, it seems as though a later scene in the episode basically discusses how Wyatt and Darlene, that they need to have a business to essentially launder the money. So that's why they're utilizing the motel. So then the cut discussion is very hilarious because it seems like even though Ruth is using, Darlene's farm, it just seems like she kind of got played with the cut conversation. So she says that she wants to give Darlene a cut and that she and Wyatt would take 25% each of the profits. And so then Darlene's cut would be 50%. But then Darlene basically says that Wyatt's cut is her cut, so they would get 75% and Ruth would get 25%. So I'm very interested to see how this plays out, how Darlene is simply just elevating Wyatt like this, and that essentially they are making Ruth their employee, essentially. So then Jonah, he goes out to the trailer to see Ruth, wants to give her, his Uncle Ben's ashes, and she tells him, of course, that he can come by anytime. And also he then tells her that he now knows that his mom had his uncle killed. And so, he's just very upset about all of this as well. And I don't know at this point if he would go against Ruth to save his family, because he seems like he's willing to betray his family at this point to help out Ruth. So that's something I think that's going to be setting the tone for this season as well. And also, so then this is followed up because Ruth then tries to go to the casino, because in the meantime, Jonah's parents, they were, still in Mexico. And so she's trying to get into the casino to try to log in, to the Birds account to try to get, to try to pull some information from their servers to help her business going, to help set up her server and everything else so that she can launder money. But Charlotte catches her, and then they bring in security as well. So Ruth ends up getting kicked out. So then Wendy and Marty, they finally come home from Mexico, and their windows are completely shot at, destroyed. And Jonah said that he basically did that, once he found out about Ben's death. And, he basically owns that and tells him it was him. And so then it's even worse, because then Wendy tells them that Helen is dead. And so now Jonah's pissed, because he's like, my uncle didn't need to die. There was no reason to kill him if Helen was going to die. So then we get introduced to another new character, a PI, who comes in from Chicago because he says his client is trying to get this divorce with Helen finalized, but they need to find Helen to get her signature. So they come in basically to stop at the Bird's house to see, okay, where is Helen? Do you know where her whereabouts are? And so I don't know. I feel like there's more to the divorce story with how he's kind of been introduced, that he is also lending to Bill the rules when it suits him as well. So then it was funny because Jonah just tells them, oh, you might want to just contact her daughter first. So it'll be very interesting. And so then Wendy, she's still pissed. She's still in her feelings that her son's mad at her. So she tells him to clean up the mess that he did with all of the windows. And so I think Wendy's approach to Jonah, being so hardcore and everything else, just not having the appropriate time to try to grieve anything, even though she's the one that's responsible and had her brother killed, you would just think that she would have some type of grief, be so upset at some point, have some sort of empathy or sympathy, or understand it from her son's perspective as to why he would be distraught about his uncle being killed. And it just seems as though she's taking this hardcore approach that I do not think is going to bode well for her as we continue through the season. And so then the Birds are going back and forth on discussing how they are going to make Omar look like a model citizen, and how they're going to convince Darlene to shut down her heroin operation. And so then we still have Maya, who is very, 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 very much pregnant. And now she's also been entangled, of course, into the Ozark criminal underworld, and she had the intel, remember, to lead the raid for the competitor of Omar's. And it turns out, though, she's not going to be coming back to her desk job, but she's going to be back into the field. And so the birds now are discussing how they need Maya to help launder Omar, and if they can try to negotiate with her. And so Marty keeps trying to call her and try to get a hold of her, but as of this episode, he's unable to get a hold of her. So this could either get them all out of this, crime stuff and this illegal stuff, or it's going to essentially destroy their family. So then at the Bell, there is a meeting. So Wendy and Marty, they're waiting there. And, then they discover that Ruth is on use with Darlene and Wyatt, and that Ruth is laundering money for them for this Nalpire. And so they give a warning like, hey, you guys need to shut it down. And so they're like, no, we're not doing that. But, it could be something down the road that's foreshadowing if they choose not to shut this down. But there is another issue, which is Mel, who is now trying to snoop and sneak into Helen's house. And, essentially he was upset with the Sheriff Nix, because he is trying to find out what is going on with Helen. And so he leaves on the back of his card, essentially something that says, and I quote, "Do your damn job." So it kind of made him feel a certain type of way. But he basically breaks into Helen's house, and he goes essentially because he sees like there's a camera at her front porch. So he goes to find out where the room is, or if there's a PC that is monitoring all of the cameras in the house. So then he finds footage of Jonah holding a gun to Helen, and he prints off that screen grab and takes it over to the Bird's house. So then, Wendy's losing it. She's all angry and in her feelings, and I just don't understand her angle at this point with everything that she has done, why she's taking this approach with her son. And so then after that, Jonah's like, hey, I'm going to go for a bike ride and this and that. And they're up here asking Charlotte if that's where he went and if he's lying. And she's like, well, I have no reason to think that he's lying. But he basically goes over to Ruth's and tells her that he can offer her some software that he also built from his father's that's a better software that she can be able to use to launder money on and have like the appropriate servers and things that she needs and go from there. So then she offers Jonah a job to launder the money from her, but I do not see this ending well if he decides to take this job from her, because eventually his parents are going to find out, and they're already in the midst of trying to make sure that Ruth and Darlene and Wyatt get shut down anyways, so the son can end up in the crosshairs if he ends up working for Ruth. I do not see a situation where this ends well. And so at first, he initially says no, that he's not going to do that he just wants to simply lend over the software. But then later on, he comes back, like his father, and is like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And I'm like, this is not going to end well at all. So then Javi is now at the Bell. And, before he goes over to the Bird's house, and he is revealing that, how he wanted to kill Wendy and Marty instead of Helen. And he was told that Darlene had the local cops in her pocket. And so then he meets the sheriff at Helen's house later, and he, the sheriff, I think, thinks that he's going to be coming in to ask some questions about Helen and this and that, and he's got the music blasting. Oh, and sidebar, the soundtrack this season has been everything thus far. This first episode, like A Tribe Called Quest, and bum bum be-dum bum bum, like I love it. Love it. So anyways, the sheriff comes in, and essentially he just shoots him. He shoots him in the in the heart and the head, like they say. And so he just drops dead. He's dead. He kills the cop. And then he immediately goes over to the Bird's house and puts the dead cop in the trunk of the car. So it's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. And so then the episode ends with Jonah basically seeing his parents and then put this body, unloading the body and moving it into the other vehicle, and that because he comes over and he was like, hey, you guys used to have that cemetery or whatever. So he sees them unloading the body and it's just about to break loose. So we will see how this goes. The only other thing that happened was, there was so much discussion about Ben. I low-key kind of missed him. And then Maya had a scene, of course, with the parking garage. And, she believes in, motivation doesn't matter, only actions. And so I'm curious to see how her final arc is going to go, if she's going to be the good cop or the bad cop, or how that's going to go moving forward. So, it was just everything, though. It was just really, really everything. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys watch Ozark? What do you think of the first episode? I haven't watched the other episodes yet, but I was intrigued with the first episode. I was hoping to see Joseph Sikora, who's Tommy from Power, on here, but maybe he'll show up in later episodes, because I do recall that he was signed on to be on for season 4 as well. So hopefully we will see him in future episodes. But I was initially looking for Joseph Sikora, and so I can't wait for him to make his appearance on the show as well. So let me know your guys' thoughts. What did you guys think of episode 1? Did you guys enjoy it? Did you feel like it started off great? Did you like it, dislike it? What were your thoughts? Please react. So for those of you, if it's your first time viewing my channel, welcome. Please check out my playlist, check out other things that I've reacted to and I've reviewed. Those of you who've been back multiple times, thank you so much for the continued support. I'm grateful, thankful, and appreciative of each and every single one of you. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again very soon.